Excuse me. What? Excuse me, executives coming through. Gangway.
Welcome to Tech Talks. My name is Ryan Epps, and I'm welcomed, as usual, by Christian and Chris. How you guys doing today?
Good. Hi, guys.
We're here to talk about this week's news, and what do we got this week, Christian?
Okay. Our first topic for today, House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan asked Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg to hand over documents about content moderation on Threads as part of the panel's ongoing investigation of tech platforms' policies and contacts with the Biden administration. The notice comes as the Biden administration grapples with a court case about its ability to communicate with tech platforms about potentially harmful information on their services. Ryan, do you feel that the Biden administration has relaxed to taking the tech companies to task because of the anticipation of the world's possible reliance on AI? And how do you honestly feel about our video's new thumbnails?
Yes to the first question. I mean, I will say that thumbnails look bad. The thumbnails look pretty bad, and they're not helping at all, but
Yeah.
But yeah. As for your first question, it's hard because privacy is such a concern. Data, privacy, both go hand in hand. They're super concerned. And Meta's been on the chopping block for many years. I mean, when Threads came out, Jack Dorsey posted on Twitter about the problems that the app would have data-wise, privacy-wise, and clearly people are concerned about this stuff, but other people just don't care. So and the issue I think with most people is I feel lawmakers, especially on the House floor and beyond, don't really know how to approach it right. Don't really know how to approach it correctly, and it's all kind of like they're like grasping at air, right? Like they're trying to grasp at air. Look at the Microsoft deal, and how the government approached that, how the FTC didn't really have an argument per se against it. They kind of just were throwing darts at a board. I think we're at a point now where the government really does want to help its people to an extent, but at the same time they don't know how to. They don't know how to approach this stuff because it goes over their heads. Most of these people are what, 50, 60, 70 years old. They don't really understand even the internet alone. So it's hard for them. And I'm not defending them at all. I'm just saying I think, that we should have a little bit more youth inside our especially in lawmakers, like with our lawmakers.
So yeah. I mean, I think, and the question was, Christian, right? Like
No, wait, what do you think about the thumbnails though?
Oh, complete ass. Complete ass. Like, I mean, there's no continuity. It looks like a different group of people upload a video every week. You know what I mean? There's no personality. It's like, I don't know. It's like if there was a fucking random button for ugly shit, then that would be what came out every week. But speaking of ugly shit, I think Joe Biden and his entire administration, every fucking week I do this, I think they owe the tech companies a lot.
Do you want background music to this?
No. Well, maybe. Depending. Well, it's up to you.
Here we go.
Yeah. Might be the wrong background music. Who knows? Somebody be bitching about that shit next week. But the tech companies did a lot of heavy lifting for Basement Joe. They did. It was Jack Dorsey with the whole, and there was just a hearing yesterday or the day before about these things where the the editor from Breitbart, the politics editor from Breitbart was in the hearing, and she was trying to break the laptop thing, and they shut her down.
Yeah.
That's
Imagine
Twitter. That's Twitter. That's Jack Dorsey. What's his face? Zuckerberg pumped in I don't know how many millions of dollars into the election in way of the left. YouTube, we all know, YouTube loves to toe the line with the liberal talking points and all that. You can't discuss the facts, you can't challenge anything. Men are women, women are men. The vaccine saved everybody's life. Like, that is the status quo for content, passability or credibility or whatever on the platform. So I say all that shit to say this. Now the Republicans are in charge of these things, the Judiciary Committee and all these fucking ridiculous ass committees that just waste taxpayer dollars, because nothing ever comes out of these things. Nothing. And to your point, tech is advancing faster than they can get. As soon as they get like a paragraph of a new regulatory policy or something, it's no longer applicable because the technology that it's referencing is now like old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
look at how the SEC has approached crypto, right? I mean, again, it's like such a gray area. They don't really know how to even regulate it correctly. A lot of this stuff, a lot of this stuff is kind of just, it's up to the companies, I feel like, as opposed to, obviously that puts a lot of trust into our companies, right? But my question is, like, primarily I feel like a lot of these CEOs, a lot of these tech businesses are run by people that are right leaning to an extent, maybe not all of them, but to an extent. I'm curious, like, do you think that there's a way that the government and the tech companies can work together as opposed to this being like almost a standoff?
I don't think so, man. Like, because the tech companies, they have the advantage, right? And it's like the government is chasing its tail.
Yeah.
The faster the faster you chase the tail, the faster the tail goes. Like, there's nothing, and I don't see, unless, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like Elon tried to do it with Twitter, like make it fair so everybody can express themselves and can talk to each other, and you can say whatever you want, and it's up to the people taking in the information to make their own decision
on a base level.
Yeah,
on a base level.
But this, though, I think Zuckerberg kind of just stepped on a landmine here, because they were on him before.
Yeah,
they were on Jack Dorsey. They've been on these things before the election.
Yeah, Meta's had several issues when it comes to Meta isn't alone, right? When it comes to privacy issues,
not even close.
Yeah, they're definitely a big culprit, and probably the biggest. I mean, in terms of just media, interpretation. Yeah,
well, definitely the most targeted tech company domestically.
Yeah,
obviously TikTok is like in the crosshairs constantly.
Yep.
So Zuckerberg's like, okay, I have this new one, and then I think it's their duty as the House Judiciary Committee to, okay, well, you launched a new platform. Let's go. We're going to check this one out too. Like, you have to. It's like if you're delivering goods, and you've been under investigation for, I don't know, smuggling something, and then you bring in like a new truck, they're still going to be like, well, let's check this truck too.
Yeah.
Right. Because you have a history of this shit. So we need to also check this new equipment, AKA Threads.
Yeah. It's interesting, you see these other places like we mentioned Mastodon, Blue Sky. You don't see lawmakers going after them either, at least as far as I know, right?
Well, I don't think they had such an upward swing like Threads did. Like, like millions, like in a couple hours or something.
It's that staying power, Facebook, Instagram. It's this ecosystem, I think, that helped it explode.
Right.
I don't, it's not going to overtake Twitter, but
Well, like when the Democrats were in power, they never actually went after Truth Social, which would be like a no-brainer. That's Trump shit. They'd be like, oh, they're all over this. But, you know, they didn't, because I don't think there's really much to be concerned about if it's like it's almost like off-brand technology at this point. If it's not Meta, if it's not Twitter, if it's not something from Elon or Mark Zuckerberg, or maybe Bezos is in there too, people are.
You'd think TikTok, being a foreign entity, would have far more concern when it comes to lawmakers, right? I know, you know, TikTok has been in the crosshairs, sure, but yeah, it's just interesting how much lawmakers have pinned on Meta, a domestic company, over anything else.
Well,
tech company.
Yeah, I have a question for you guys for this particular.
I was going to ask you to cue the music because I had another conspiracy.
Oh, here we go.
I'm gonna give you a starting point for your conspiracies here, because this is a good one. Like back in February, Twitter faced Congress because of the accusation that they have been, not necessarily, they never actually admitted this being a political move. Like the entire Hunter Biden laptops thing has been hidden, has been moderated by Twitter. Do you think Jim Jordan being a Republican, this is just their way of actually reining in Zuckerberg, so there's not going to be another similar scenario as what happened before with them covering up the whole Hunter Biden thing?
I think it's more than that. I think it's more than that, because it's so publicized. It's like it's sure, it might there might be stems of that, but it's also like a statement to other tech companies, like, you know, don't mess with us, because we will bring you, you know, we'll bring you to we'll bring you to court, right? We'll take you to court.
And that shit, those hearings ain't no joke, man. Those motherfuckers, they're sworn in, and if you purge, what is it? Perjury? It is perjury, but what's it called when you do it to yourself? Perjurize?
Isn't that perjury?
Perjure.
You're right.
Yeah.
You just perjure yourself.
You know, if you lie to Congress, that's huge.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot worse than like being held contempt of, like, you know, district court. You know what I'm saying? This is the court of the federal court. You know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna bust your ass for lying to them. I think it's kind of like a warning shot.
For sure. For sure.
And I think it's needed, honestly. Like these guys have to know. I mean, they were free reign there for a while, because first off, as a society, I think, especially in the US, I'm sure in China this happens on the reg, but as a society in the US, I don't know that we had experienced anything to this magnitude, where all the information on the country's most used platform for information, right? Like a lot of people use Twitter for their news. They go there, like people live on that fucking thing. And they limited information, pertinent information to everyone. And it was done in a way that is not very American, like the censoring of, you know, the free press, right? We got free press.
Yeah.
We have the freedom of speech, the right to assemble, peaceful assemble, and all that stuff. Peaceful assembly. And like, just because the tech was new, I mean, Musk said it, right? Like Twitter is like the town square. So peaceful assembly, if you're not on Twitter, like being incredibly, you know, violent, or, you know, using incredibly inflammatory language, not just like, hey dude, you're not a chick, like that's not that bad, right? I mean, we can all admit it's not that bad versus other things. You know, and you don't have the right to be on Twitter just because someone in that company disagrees with your opinion. That we've never experienced anything like that, and it's a complete violation, I think, of what it means to be American.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you should have the right to say what you want, right? I mean, so long as it's, you know, not degrading someone's, you know,
right,
you know, other freedoms and stuff like that. You're not being mean.
Yeah. I mean, like we were talking about before we started rolling, like, you know, what happened to like the whole sticks and stones thing.
Yeah.
it's not the case anymore. Like people, you say things like that one lady from Canada that said, I can't remember her name. I should do more research on this shit. I can't remember her name, but she got banned from Twitter for life.
Well, as did Trump, right? I mean, Trump's
No,
banned from Twitter
it was
for all.
yeah. Well, they let him back on, but he's like, I'm not going back on there. I have my own shit, and I've never even been on that app. I don't know anything about Truth Social. I just feel like it's as much I am conservative, as much as I agree with a lot of things that come from the right. They also really, it's almost embarrassing. Some of them make it embarrassing to even be affiliated with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's cringe, man. It's like, come on.
It was, and the other thing too is a problem, is a little off topic, but there's a problem too with the fact that it's kind of an echo chamber.
Yeah.
It's kind of why I like Twitter. Well, for some communities, at least in Twitter, you kind of get a broader spectrum of ideas.
Right.
Maybe, a bit more left leaning than most, I feel like, but for sure, you get a bit better quality of content, I feel like. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think, and Zuckerberg he's got to be good at these hearings at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's probably got a good team, too.
Yeah, he's probably like, shit,
honest.
here we go again. I guess I'm flying out to DC this week. Like,
Yeah, you would think that they'd actually be anticipating being called over for this because, like he said, Thread is just the same as Twitter. So they would be inclined to follow the same guidelines as well as the same scrutiny as what Twitter has been experiencing over the past couple of months.
I mean, I think that's also kind of the problem, right? Like each of these platforms have their own community guidelines. Like there's not a blanket thing.
Yeah.
I mean, can you even, other than just like common human decency, then, really, what can you expect from a place where, and I don't remember which politician said it. I'm sure it was a Republican, probably, what's his name from Louisiana, Kennedy. And I might have brought this up before on here, but, he said that social media lowered the cost of being an asshole. Right, like before social media, if you wanted to be a dickhead, you had to do that shit in public, in person, where somebody might snatch you up. Now, you can sit, at home and be the biggest dick ever, and no one can touch you. And a lot of people,
what is it? Armchair activism, I believe, right? There's a term that's used a lot.
Yeah, keyboard. Yeah. What was it before that? Like keyboard gangster or something like that.
Keyboard knights,
keyboard warrior.
Something like that. Keyboard,
thank you. Something like that.
Yeah.
But But I think it's good. Keep the tech companies on their toes, man.
Yeah. More regulation, maybe not as good, I feel like, but better incentives, right, for tech companies to keep all our data secure. I mean, we're in an era now. I mean, with we're going to be talking about AI pretty much all for the rest of time, but with the emergence of AI, I mean, you can kind of kiss data goodbye, your data goodbye, because how many things between both of you? I mean, how many things have you just signed away, right? Like you sign up to a new app, you sign up to whatever it be, a new subscription service. You kind of just sign whatever it is, you just get over with and you're in, right? You don't really think about, these privacy or terms of conditions and all that stuff.
I have never read not even one of those things.
Yeah. And that's the biggest problem, I feel like, with a lot of people. I mean,
it's like the South Park
for granted.
It's like the human centipede from South Park.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Or even the recent Black Mirror episode, not to like kind of ruin it for people, but I think the first episode of season 6, a woman signs up for, I think, Streamberry, right? Netflix, like alternative essentially in the show. And turns out she had signed essentially her identity to a degree. So they made a show about her. And so she's watching Netflix, the Netflix, she finds a show about her life. She's like, what the hell? She goes to the headquarters. They're like, yeah, you signed it away. You signed your life away, essentially. It's like, this is kind of real shit. You know, we're at a tipping point now where that kind of stuff is real to a degree, especially with again the emergence of AI in that context.
Yeah.
We have to be careful about that. We have to be really careful about what we sign nowadays because you never know. You know, you really don't know where your data is going to go. You don't know. You know, another great example was so Moist Critical. He's a content creator. He posted a video recently about a video game. He does like, you know, he plays these bad video games on Steam. And he bought a game and it was essentially a scam. He bought a game for I think 20 or 30 bucks. But he had to sign in through the guy's website, the developer's website. So he was automatically the whole time he's talking about this, he's also concerned about his information. I mean, not only is he a big content creator, but like, you know,
For
who
that one,
knows
he
what they can
used
do with
the
that
sign in for that
right.
one was actually his Steam account.
Yes. Which
So
can
it was
easily be, you know,
technically
used.
a phishing scam.
Exactly. So you watched that video too? It's quite interesting,
Yeah.
and that's like again more proof in the fact that like your data is valuable, even if you may not think it is. Um, you have to be careful with that. You have to be very careful.
But going back to
Sure.
this, regardless of what you think about the Biden administration, I still think it would be pretty hard for them to do this because everything's now so political that every party has their own definition of what is potential harmful information.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
they're gonna be stuck between a rock and
I
a
think it's a
hard
big
place with
problem
this
too.
one.
It's a huge problem.
Yeah. So I doubt they could actually resolve this in just one fell swoop because like
Well, it should be a bipartisan issue, right? It should be bipartisan, but
it would
I
be
feel like, you
I
know, we're
find
at
it
the
hard to
point
be
now where
bipartisan
they
when both parties have different definition of these two. Like
well,
usually
and they don't really get along. I mean, let's be honest. They don't get
That's
along. How are they supposed to come together about something that is, you know, that should be on both sides when they can't even get along about like just normal shit? You know, it's just not feasible. We're at this like since like around 2016, right, when Trump came in office, there's been this huge schism and it's only gotten worse as time has dragged on.
yeah, because
And it won't
before
get better,
people
I
can
don't think.
actually before political parties usually have compromises when it comes to just finding an adjacent to their platform,
right.
right? Now it's
Yeah,
complete opposites. Like it's hard to find a middle ground for it.
impossible. And no one wants to listen to any, you know, the independents. Who cares, right? Like
Right. Yeah.
it's
I
like
mean, even you seen like I referenced earlier the hearing with RFK yesterday or whenever it was. I watched it last night, so I don't know when it aired, like during the day or something. I mean, he's a registered Democrat. He's running as a Democrat. He has a lot of ideas that are not in line with how they've been preaching for the last couple of years. And what's her name, the ranking member, I can't remember her name. She just like
not MGT, I'm assuming.
no. It's no, she's a Democrat, but she just laid into him the whole
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Like he's racist. She's like he's famously anti-vax, but all his kids are vaccinated, and he was like, and then she went on for like at the end, he was like, everything you said was inaccurate. He's like, I'm not anti-vax. My kids have all their vaccines. I have all my vaccines. The only thing I said was we need better testing for the COVID vaccine.
We need more transparency.
More transparency. Yeah. Like these are things, you know, and back to your point, like even it's gotten so bad where it's not even just Democrat versus Republican anymore. Or, you know, independents kind of sitting on the sideline, like, hey guys, I have an opinion, or shut up. One of those type things. Yeah. You know, it's the only time they agree, Democrats and Republicans, is when they're telling the independent to shut his mouth. But now it's inner fighting, right? Like we have the Democrats are split, Republicans are split a lot of time. It's just and you know, the tech companies, whoever can manipulate, or whoever can maybe not manipulate, but whoever can use these tech platforms the best will come out on top, because that's where all the voters are on some type of something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like whether you're a YouTube guy or a Twitter guy or an Instagram guy, or if you're older and you're on Facebook all the time, like you're going to get influenced whether you know it or not. Movies, even Hollywood's all left leaning. Like everybody's gay, everything's fucking weird now. Like you can't get just like a good regular movie. Shit's got to have some
What is it
underlying
called?
narrative type
Catering to
shit.
modern audiences, I believe it's called, right?
Mm.
That's kind of what the term is now. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, do you remember before? I think this all changed with Obama when people were so proud that they voted for Obama that kind of our personal secrecy of who we voted for, that used to be like, personal information.
Valid point. Yeah.
Right? Like, who did you vote for was a rude ass question back in the day.
Yep.
And don't ask me about that. And then I swear,
something my mom always told me, never talk about, your political beliefs like that.
Yeah.
Even when I was younger, don't, just even with your friends, something that she always ingrained in me. Like, it's just better not to talk about it.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the saying, right? Like when you're drinking with friends, you don't talk about politics or sports. Well, I know we say that in the military, obviously politics, but I mean, sports can cause, if you get a Red Sox fan and a Yankees fan drinking together and you start talking about baseball, these boys are going to get pissed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's, but for some reason now politics is at the forefront of every discussion. I voted for this guy. I disagree with this. Like, why don't we just go back to a time when it's like, I don't give a shit who you voted for.
A great time that I liked, and this is, it was also a hard time, but when 9/11 happened, I think it was like such a shining moment for America. I know we're now kind of talking about some completely different topic, but
it's all right. I think it's the last episode anyway. Fuck
it. After 9/11 the country came together, that was such a proud moment for all of us, and now it's just the strife, the disconnect. It's just like kind of gross and yucky. You don't even really want to get into it, most people.
Right.
Because what's the point, right? One side just thinks they know everything. The other side, it's like they don't really even care. It's like yeah.
Well, now it's all homophobia.
Yeah.
Either you're, if you don't, no matter what your opinion. Like I watched a clip earlier today, and I'm not going to say who it was about. If you know, then you know.
God.
But he was saying that, or she was saying that the way they structure things now, like LGBTQ is one group, when the G and the T are not even the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But now, since you group all these things together, the general enemy, when you say something about one of the letters, then it encompasses everyone.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, now you're a bigot. Now you're homophobic, when it's like, no, I don't have a problem that you're gay. My problem is that old dudes that say I'm a chick are following 16-year-old girls into bathrooms. That's the problem. And that's not a gay thing. That's a minority of people that associate with this group. So when you say something about those people, you're all of a sudden attacking the whole group. That's kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's a ridiculous.
It's unfair,
it's a ridiculous thing that we're in right now.
Yeah. Every bit of that group actually don't want the same thing. It's funny that they're actually cooperating in their current scenario, right?
There's a lot of people, a lot of gay people I've seen on like TikTok, and there's a lot of influencers that are coming out and saying like, you all are doing too much. Like you're gyrating in the middle of the street in front of children. Like that's not what this is about. Like, it's not, because it's a black eye on the entire lifestyle. It's not fair. It's like it's like me as a white guy. I feel a little embarrassed because there are like KKK and things like that's fucking embarrassing, dude. That shit
Just
is
a
not
question.
cool.
Yeah, just a question for you, Chris, since you've actually mentioned you're a bit more leaning conservative. These are tech companies, right? But if all of a sudden this is a tech company that's concerning the military, do you think the Republicans would be this hard on it?
What do you mean? If it was,
When it comes to tech companies and regarding to social media, I think people are mostly associating this with the liberal side of the aisle, to the Democrats. But if it's more about the military, it's usually the right. So if you think this is a military thing in terms of technology, do you think the right would be this hard when it comes to investigating this?
Like what do you mean when you say with the military?
I would say
When it comes
probably
to
no, but it
pressing
depends
on
on
the
the
tech
type of.
companies,
It depends on the company.
Well, it depends on what they're doing.
it
I
depends
think,
on what they do.
yeah, I mean, I think if, and
I
that's the
think
problem.
Ryan kind of
Back
gets
to
my
like what
question.
Ryan said. It's like what Ryan said, right? Like it's kind of like they're so split. Like if it was benefiting the Republicans, then they're not virtuous. None of them are. They're fucking politicians. If what was happening was benefiting, if liberals were being silenced, Republicans would be happy with it.
Yeah.
Just a matter of fact is conservatives are, or people that are not on the left are the ones that's being censored. That's where the right comes like, hey, you can't do that shit. But if it was the other way around, if liberals were getting banned on Twitter for saying, I'm a girl, and obviously you're not because you have like a beard shit, and then they kicked them off Twitter, Democrats would be like, hey, you can't do that. Free speech. He can it's
Yeah.
I don't think you
Zucker,
can even limit it to a Republican Democrat thing. It's more like I don't know, it's like fucking I don't know, they're like I don't know, it's like a divorced couple or something that they just hate each other.
Yep.
Zuckerberg is really a glutton for punishment, right? Like he already has an example of Twitter going through all of this, and it still went through with
I think
threads.
there's been proof of like, I understand that it's kind of bundled into this misinformation stuff, but isn't there proof that Meta was kind of diminishing or downplaying
Yeah, most
Republican conservative
definitely.
stuff?
Even
Yeah.
during the,
Yeah.
even a great example with this is during the pandemic, like
Yeah.
even us being part of the media actually experience it because not all of our content, regardless whether it's truthful or not, are actually showing as part of information for our audience. It would have been beneficial for them had
Yeah.
they known this
Google too.
information. Yeah.
Yeah.
Google too. Google's guilty of that shit. They be putting, they drop you talk about what, and I know I say a lot about conspiracy theories, but I mean over the last 2 years, it's a conspiracy theory until it's proven true. And there's been a lot of shit that was like 2 years ago. There's like, oh, these conspiracists, they're saying all this crazy shit, and then come to find out, it's like, yeah, the laptop was Hunter Biden's, and yeah, Fauci did know about the gain of function research, and yeah, this vaccine wasn't as effective as because they said you get it, you won't spread it, you won't catch it, and it's just not true. I forgot what I was going to say. I honestly forgot what I was going to say. No, but like Google, right? Like you write an article, using a lot of research, a lot of citing your different sources and everything, and it doesn't go with, and it just so happens to be, and this is where the problem's rooted at. It just so happens to be that if you disagree with what the left is saying, you get censored. It's
Yeah.
just that's just the way it is.
Mhm.
But Google had the power to drop your search results to page 2 or page 3. Have you ever gone to page 2 of a Google search?
No.
Very rarely.
Yeah, drop it
Very
one
rare.
page. You're reducing the visibility by, I don't know, a rough estimate, probably 80-85% of the people will not go to page 2. Search
Yeah.
anything, CNN's on top. I know they're a super huge fucking news firm and all that shit, but you're not going to get. Now here's an experiment for you guys. Search on Google one thing and then search on DuckDuckGo the same thing and see the difference you get. Completely different results.
You have different algorithms.
Yeah, but DuckDuckGo is a private, not politicized type thing. Google, Zuckerberg, Twitter before, YouTube,
Let's mention Bing for once.
Bing. Yeah, Bing. Yeah. I like
Shout
Bing.
out.
Bing's good. Bing has a better user experience actually, or user interface.
I've always stuck with Google. It's one of those
Me
things.
too.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's one of those things. Like I mean, you Google shit. It's a verb now. Nobody says like, "Hey, Bing this." Hey, can you Bing? If nobody says that shit. Like, can you duck go this? That's fucking stupid.
Just
Google
curious,
it.
like this is off topic, but in terms of messages, Twitter's is called a tweet, right?
Hmm.
What is a message in Threads called?
The thread.
It's a threat.
Like I figured Reddit would have been mad
That's what Musk.
by
That's what
seeing
Musk
this,
called it.
right?
It's a fucking thread.
Or just a post. Like I don't know.
Is it not called a thread?
I think it's called a thread. You're absolutely right. But that's already like Reddit's thing. I mean, that's already even Twitter's thing. Like, what do you call like a bundle of tweets? A thread.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. See thread. What is it's what is that shit they put on their tweet? It's a thread or
Some
something like that.
someone
Yeah.
really needs to fire their marketing on Facebook.
Well, I mean, it's like, I mean, he's Zuckerberg is like reinventing the wheel with threads.
He hasn't invented shit in decades.
That's what I'm saying.
Not
Like,
necessarily. It's the thing. It's like I was watching a podcast, whatever you want to go. Colin Samir. They have another channel called Creator Support, right? And they were talking about threads because obviously they talk about content creation pretty heavily. So
right.
threads is huge, right, for them.
Right,
And it's interesting, the one of the guy was I think Samir had been out, on vacation, so he was kind of like out of the blue, and he didn't even, I don't think he even has Instagram. If I either he didn't have Instagram before, or he just wasn't using it, because he was on vacation. Besides the point, but they both were like saying essentially, like, the argument was, where's the innovation, right? You have Blue Sky, you have Mastodon, you have Threads. They're all doing the exact same thing. They're Twitter clones. Where's the innovation? And one of the other things, something I brought up too, it's like, why aren't Instagram and Threads in the same application? Why do you have to download a whole new app? I mean, that's such a fucking stupid meta thing, right? It's such a dumb meta thing.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, why not have them both? Especially the fact they're associated. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it's just like, if you're gonna do something, and if you're gonna create something like a new application that you want people to really drive interest, you really want to bring people, create something like completely different. Give me incentive to actually want to use the application beyond just the micro blogging aspect.
Yeah, I have a theory regarding that. Why there's no innovation? It's because the users never actually evolved. They all just want the same thing.
Yeah. Well, they want the same thing, but they don't want Elon Musk's little grubby hands on, right? I think that's like the biggest. That's the biggest thing, and it's a little weird to me. It's like, I understand you might be annoyed with Elon Musk, and you might not like his politics, whatever it be, but like, do you like Bill Gates? Like, you still use Windows? Like, who? Like, what? Like, it's like the mindset behind these people and like just their applications and how they use social media is just baffling to me. It's just like, use the app. If you don't like it, go to another app, right? Who cares about like what the guy is doing or talking about? Elon Musk makes a fucking fool of himself every day. We can all laugh at him together. You don't have to like jump ship because of it.
Right. Well, they're pissed off because he is he's a dissenting voice. Right? He's like, no, you don't get to censor everybody you want to. And they're like, oh, that's bullshit. Because they've been winning for the last however long.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden somebody, they're like children. I mean, you look at they're like children. I mean, they got, their entire thing is don't be mean to me.
Well, it's funny. It's funny because a lot of these people are like, at least the people I saw on my timeline, a good majority of people were like, meet me here, like meet me on Blue Sky, meet me on Threads now, and it's funny, you still see them on Twitter. I still see the same people. I see them tweeting. I see, it's not like they actually left, right? Like, they're still using Twitter, so all these is open threats, right? All these threats are just like null and void. It's like, you can complain about Twitter all you want, but you're still going to come running back to it. Yeah. What's the Thanos meme? Where he's sitting there and he's just like, where did it lead you? Back to me, right? Like,
yeah. Well, it's the same, it's that same virtuous bullshit where, people would, all the celebrities that was like, if Donald Trump becomes president, I'm leaving. And them motherfuckers, they still here.
Yeah.
Because honestly, they bitch and moan about politics and racism and transphobia and homophobia. These people bitch and moan about this shit constantly, right? Like it's never ending. And you know, it's a right-wing talking point, but I think it does hold some weight where it's like, if you don't like it, leave.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I
And
think it paints an obvious picture of how just bad and shitty social media in general is to
Yeah.
just us, like as humans.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking terrible. I mean, it, you know, back in the day it was cool where like, you know, you could, you know, talk to people and like see, you know, like, oh shit, this person I never talked to in high school had a baby, you know what I'm saying? But now it's like you have to
We have
adhere to this
yeah,
fucking weird thing that's happening.
we have social media back in the day, but there are certain limitations set to it. Like everyone is actually set based on the speed of their internet connection. I don't think if we're still on dial-up, people can be tweeting at this pace that we're in.
Yeah.
Like the information is going out pretty quickly, as well as misinformation. That if we still have the same quality of internet connection that we have now, I don't think Twitter or Facebook would have actually survived it, because a couple of social media sites actually existed before them, which also presented the same features.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, look at the old school message boards, right? They're talking about all kinds of wild shit on there.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting, because if you strip down every social media platform we have to its framework, we'd still get the same features from each of them.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's nothing like Instagram is perfect for what it is. Facebook is perfect for what it is. Twitter is perfect for what it is. And those kind of encompass, like, someone said, you know, Facebook is for the past, Instagram and Twitter is for the present. Right. And, you know, I don't know, LinkedIn maybe for the future. I don't fucking know. But, you know, like, there's not really much else that we need social media wise. Like, okay, videos, pictures, your thoughts.
I don't think even personally, if it was up to me, I don't think any of it would be. Email is perfectly fine, right?
Yeah.
In my mind, that's all you need. You know, I think that social media is like just absolutely destroyed. Look at what TikTok's doing. Like, look at these kids, and they're just like how they've just been absolutely, you know, their mind has been devastated because you know they have 2 seconds to deal with like content. They're digesting content every 5 seconds.
Yeah,
that's horrible for your mind. It's bad for your brain.
And we're not even seeing the full effect of it yet. Because I mean, think about the kids that are 10 years old right now. When they're in the 20 years, when they're 30, they're going to be some, you know, they're going to have some long. There's going to be there's going to be a shift in like human evolution, right? Where like these kids, what will be, you know, adults, they'll be, you know, they'll be the workforce, and then 10 years later, they'll be the CEOs, they'll be the decision makers, and you know, like you remember before social media, like to be a teenager was terrifying, right? And the only thing you were terrified of was people that you knew directly, people in your school, people in your neighborhood, you know, people in your family, right? These were the threats that kept us terrified. You know, oh God, what if, you know, my shoes are not the right shoes, or my haircut's not right, or my clothes aren't right, or now imagine taking that anxiety and that stress and then applying that to the entire world, where now you see people from everywhere that dress better than you, have more money than you, are better looking than you, are probably smarter than you, living nice, you know, all these things. It's been multiplied by 8 billion at this point.
Well, do you guys think that the Social Network movie should have gotten a sequel that included everything that happened after that part? And Hollywood is kind of missing the boat in creating a Twitter movie. Like we've gone so long from getting all these biopics.
Hollywood, good luck getting actors and writers to write it.
Yeah, right now.
But you know,
so the Social Dilemma was good.
Social, I don't know if I saw that.
Oh, you got to watch that. The way they
Social network.
I think it's Netflix. It's a documentary.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
The way they the way they
It's yeah.
yeah, it's fucking good.
Hmm.
I watched it, and while I was watching, I was like, "Oh, this is so true. What this is crazy." And then right after the movie, it's like back on social media. You know, it had zero effect on me in the long run.
I think a lot of people said that. A lot of people, I think, a lot of my friends said they deleted Twitter, like deleted their socials, and then like week later, back on it. Yeah. But I think I think we talked this topic into the ground.
For real.
As U.S. lawmakers still ponder data and social media, the world as a whole clings to its concerns on artificial intelligence, right? Thankfully, world-renowned director Christopher Nolan gave his 2 cents on the technology. What do you got for us, Christian?
Yeah, I already gave you a segue to that Hollywood thing, right?
Yeah.
Thanks. Well, our second topic for today, Oppenheimer director Christopher Nolan has issued a word of caution around the rapid development of artificial intelligence, drawing parallels between his dramatic feature on the development of the atomic bomb and the potential dangers of AI. Nolan expressed concerns about the lack of understanding and accountability surrounding the technology. Chris, should people pay heed to Nolan's word of caution, or do you think this is just an overreaction to the unfamiliar? And do you think the new thumbnails are any better?
Well, I haven't checked the channel, so I doubt the thumbnails have gotten any better. But I will answer this question with a quote from my mother. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and most of them stink. So, I mean, that's kind of it, right? Like, I mean, other than the fact that he's directed, incredible movies. Obviously, he's very talented in telling a story. He knows as much about AI as probably you and I do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just an opinion. Right now, I think everything, whether I don't give a shit who you are, Musk, from Elon Musk all the way down to Hunter Biden, right? If that's the spectrum we're on here, from generational genius to nepo crackhead. Nobody knows any more than the next guy about AI, the future of AI. I mean,
yeah. Well, I think
yeah.
What's his name? James Cameron. I think James Cameron said something too recently, right? Like, in regards to his work from Terminator 2. I could look it up. I'm pretty sure James Cameron said something.
He did.
And it's just like, weighs it on, is AI a risk to humanity? This was 2 days ago. It's like, I understand where they're coming from, and sure, AI is scary, but we've had this conversation before where the AI that we have today is just a text spitter. It just spits out text. That's it. People are so scared. It's like, it's not really anything to be worried about, personally, other than if you maybe you have a job, when it comes to writing, if you have a job in media, if you have a job in, even acting to some degree. I think deep fakes are pretty scary. That stuff's obviously something that we should, rear or look at. But beyond that, I mean, what we have in AI today isn't going to topple the world. I think we're just people are so gung ho on mass hysteria, right? People love drama. People love drama, and it's just like this over dramatization of tech, which we've seen before. I mean, Y2K. I mean, that was Y2K was huge.
That's a good point.
I'm trying to think of something even more recent, but yeah, it's just there's always something where we're gonna be freaked out about the future. We'll cross there when we get there, is what I say. We're not at the point where we have Terminator. We don't have Skynet yet. There's no Skynet. Right. So, like I said, all the people that should be concerned are those that can easily be replaced by these large language models, these more predicted software and stuff, which is just the state of things. Like that's how the world goes. And Ford created the first factory where we built cars with hands. What happened eventually? We built robots to do it for them, right?
Right.
It's just this stuff happens. Like future happens and innovation happens, and it's just the way of things. I don't think any of this, and credit to Christopher Nolan. He's definitely a high thinker. He's definitely a smart dude.
Hmm.
And sure, AI definitely has some concerns here and there when it comes to his space. The writing with the writers and the actors. So I get where he's coming from in that regards, but I just think people are just freaked out for no reason. But we're not at a point where we have RoboCop type stuff. We don't have to be freaked
Right.
out.
I mean, yeah, you're right. It's a dramatized version of, though it's the what if thing, right? Oh, what if? What if?
Yeah.
What if?
I do think there should be more regulation.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. But I mean, again, back to what we were talking about. How do you regulate? How
Yeah.
there's this is like I don't know if this is unprecedented in human history. You know what I'm saying? This type shit that we're dealing with now with the tech and the AI and the advancement, how everything's just like, I mean, the industrial revolution, that was not 5 or 10 years with what we're experiencing now with, the technology thing that's just fucking every day new shit.
You can liken it to any era, right? Like the Renaissance era. AI is almost a new Renaissance era, right? Where people freaked out about new art forms and new ways of thinking, all this stuff.
Yeah, titties and stuff. He's freaking out.
yeah. People are concerned, and rightfully so, sure. But like, I don't know. I think it's all just very much media, just kind of playing things up to a degree.
Yeah.
I mean, like, why did Christopher Nolan say this, right? He was probably asked a question about AI, and he was just like, you know what? I'll just, I'll answer it as best as I can.
So what did he say? Like, concerns. Well, okay, this I get, right? He's concerned about the lack of understanding and accountability.
Which are absolutely key. Those two are, again, what we talked about earlier, transparency.
Yeah. That's the whole thing. It's like, who's responsible? And I don't even understand this shit. And if it does get out of control, who's going to reel it in? It can't just run off like.
Well, I believe, I don't know if we have it now. I think we do have it now, right? I think there is an AI committee made up
of. Is that Kamala Harris?
I don't know. I don't know. I do know that there is some sort of AI committee of some kind, though what that means, what that entails.
I think it's her. I think I seen a meme where she's like, AI is 2 words or 2 letters. A, artificial, and it's like, Jesus Christ, lady. But yeah, well, I mean, at least there's a start, right? You may, ChatGPT is when ChatGPT is the smartest thing associated with that committee, we're in trouble.
Well, so when it comes to that, we were talking about misinformation earlier, and I think that's like one of the more major problems that people aren't talking about is that AI can easily get things wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah.
When I say I mean ChatGPT. I mean these large language models.
Right.
And that I think, I mean, we talked about this several weeks ago, but the guy that committed suicide, because of like he was like a very big climate change guy, and he was married, and apparently the AI was like he was like in love with the AI or something. I forget the whole story. It's been a couple weeks out, but yeah, it's just like that stuff might become more common, just for the sheer fact that, like, again, these large language models take a ton of data across the entire internet. I mean, ChatGPT is already being, or OpenAI, I believe, is being sued, right, for infringing on that, for taking data that they weren't allowed to.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, like I think that's more of a concern. More of a concern is the fact that, like, where are we getting our information from, and where is the AI getting its information from, and who's vetting that?
Yeah, I think, for the most part, and I'm not the first to say this, and obviously this isn't an original thought, but it is something that needs to be considered. Is that at this point, these things, they're just robotic plagiarism.
Yeah.
They have no original thought, no original concept. It's all. I mean, they have all the information, metaphorically speaking, at its fingertips, and it can generate basically anything it wants. But I mean, is everybody? I mean, do you think everybody's in like panic mode, or like these like you said, he's a great, how do you refer to him, great thinker or a smart, I don't know.
Yeah, he's very, I mean, he's intelligent. He's made what, 8 or 10 movies that are pretty much like Oscar winners, all of them, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know of a bad movie the dude's done. Maybe something in high school, but other than that,
Nolan,
since
I mean, even
Nolan
then,
actually-
like, there's a
is
movie he
Nolan-
made back in the day called Following that apparently is very good, but I've never even heard of it until recently.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, is Nolan actually looking at the aspect of this in the sense that he's look at an Armageddon situation? Like suddenly AI is taking over the nuclear codes for in the future, and he wants people to see accountability for it in case something like that happens.
Can I just
I mean,
say
the likelihood is
record,
very slim of that happening.
Can I just say on the
I'll just be
record?
honest with you. Like, the likelihood of that happening is so slim that it kind of makes me want to laugh. Like,
On-
sure, there's a possibility that I think human input is still very much a key aspect behind military, like stuff like that. Like missiles will have to have some sort of human interactivity before they can actually be fired, right?
Right.
Most of them have fail safes. There's just we can look back at the Digimon from the 90s, the Digimon movie from the 90s when that happened, when they shut off rockets, right? Like AI takes over, like it's scary. Whoa, it's for fiction. It's for fiction.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
does he see the dangers for it, like something being developed for the sake of necessity, like the same thing with the atomic bomb?
It's just likening AI to the atomic bomb is just like kind of ridiculous. Again, it's like current standards with AI is just like that's just not the case. It's just not the case. It's just like they're two very different things. One is a literal tool to like at mass destruction, whereas another one is just a tool to help us like make better sentences, right? Like,
right.
Well, if you
maybe in terms of impersonation, right? Like I said, deepfakes before. I think that is very concerning. Deepfakes and impersonation with AI, voice changing, stuff like that. But again, those current standards aren't really up to par yet.
Yeah, see, that's the key word. I think that's also something that like to Nolan's point is we don't, like, it's moving so fast. Like, we don't know what's going to happen eventually. So, like, do you like we were talking about earlier, like how reactive fucking going about shit reactively is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, because to me it feels like his statement is actually he's asking for an oversight committee to be built,
which I think there already is.
But who's qualified for this?
The funny thing is, he mentioned that he expressed concerns about the lack of understanding. Like, this is a broad thing to say. Like, does this actually include him in this statement? Because if it actually includes him, does this invalidate his fears regarding this?
No, I think people are founded in their fear. I do think that, like, again, like what Chris said, right? Like, we don't know where AI is going to go in the future, but I don't think it'll have the capacity or capabilities of shooting off a nuclear weapon or causing nuclear war. I just don't. I just like that's just in fiction. That's science fiction, right? I mean, if anything, it could come close, but I do really think that maybe not like other places, but at least domestically, America, they definitely have fail safes for stuff like that. Not everything is going to be online, right? Not the systems for nuclear missile strikes. They're not going to be like online constantly.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like, and I can imagine the amount of firewalls and the amount of protections there are against outside threats.
I mean, I think it makes
Malware.
sense now. Within let's go as far to say within our lifetime. This sounds insane. But if we go back to talking about those kids that are 10 years old today, what about their children where AI is fucking everywhere? And then it's almost like the nanny that you grew up with that you trust just as much as family. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going to be so used to AI that, even if it's not, there would be a point where it's like, we can trust AI with this. It does everything else.
It's funny you say that. I got this was a couple weeks ago. I got a pitch, to write about AI assistants, right? Like almost like Siri, but for executives.
Okay.
Essentially, like get rid of your executive assistant because now we have AIs for that, right? And
right.
Do you think people would even like accept that? Like, if you're an executive, I think personally for me, if I was an executive, I would want a human to be in control of all my shit. I don't want some AI because you don't know what's going to happen to all your shit, right?
I mean, what if we got AI on the level of, Tony Stark's Jarvis? You know what
science
I'm saying?
fiction.
Yeah, but I mean, is it though? Everything is science fiction until it's become science fact.
I don't see AI getting to that point, at least anytime soon.
That was my point a minute ago. It's unbelievable and highly unlikely now and within our lifetime, but who the fuck knows on 5 or 6 generations down the road.
Yeah.
Like you look at, and this has been brought up too before, like you look at shows like Star Trek, right? Where it was in the future. Yeah. And they had a lot of good teleportation. They had these hyper speed shit to get you through fucking whatever it is, space and all that. But in all their wildest dreams, never came. Nobody had a cell phone. Well, I mean, they had the little thing, but there was no internet. They didn't talk about they still relied on Spock and data or whatever fucking to have all this random ass knowledge. Where now we're all that dude right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, in their wildest, most scientifically creative brains, they never thought about shit that's real today.
Some a lot of actually Fahrenheit 451, like they mention seashells that people put in their ears. Okay. Apple pods, whatever the hell they're called, they talked about fireplaces that you could like talk through, like what we're doing right now.
Right.
So there are I mean, even Neuromancer, right, from William Gibson, it talks about literal cyberspace before even cyberspace was a thing.
Right.
Like, Nolan is actually a pretty good director. Like, I'll give him that, but I don't actually expect him to create a dissertation regarding AI because he doesn't even use CGI in his movies. Like, if he was that tech savvy, it would have caught my attention. But he's been notorious enough to be averse when it comes to technology, even in doing his craft. Like, the timing is
how much
pretty
is
good.
That is more more like how is that? Trying to think of a way to word this, but like how much of that is more like a financial thing and just like a way of his doing, right? Like
I think of the statement as this: the timing is actually pretty perfect for his movie that came out. Like considering comparing AI to the A-bomb, like it's good marketing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think
obviously it's the point, right?
I mean, I think that's where this entire story came from, right? Obviously, he was doing some type of they didn't go to his house on a Saturday morning. He was doing some type of press, and they asked him, and he said this, and now we're talking about it. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I think Oppenheimer
still shoots on film. Like he still uses film.
I mean, is he a traditionalist? Like, could you picture Bob Ross being like, yeah, sure, AI can paint this picture for me this week. I'm busy.
No shot.
Fuck no, because he enjoys the process.
Now that would be a better question. I feel like I'd love to know if Chris Nolan would, in his mind, does he think AI would make a better movie than his? That would be a better question. Right. And obviously the answer from him would be obviously no. Right. I think primarily a lot of people say no,
but deep down we don't know.
Maybe. We don't know. Maybe it could. Maybe it could.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for it, man. I want them to put this shit to the test. Like they're talking about, oh, the writers are nervous and well, they're striking. So let's pump out a few TV shows AI generated and see what I'm talking about. Direction, fucking scripts, actors, everything. I want to see it all. And then we can.
I'll be the conspiracy theorist here, other than you, Chris. Like, I think of this statement as empty. I think this is just unfounded fear mongering just to promote a movie. Like the timing is just too good.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I don't know that
Abso-fucking-lutely.
But I don't know about fear mongering. I think he got asked a question. He gave his opinion.
Did you suddenly rub up on me, Chris, by turning me into a conspiracy theorist?
Maybe, yeah. But and I don't think that he went into this with the intention of casting shade on AI. I think they asked him a question. He's like, well, I mean, you know, there's a lack of understanding and like who's accountable for this stuff. And then I feel like that's a very
it's a perfect statement to make. Like everyone's already thinking this. Like you just amplify it to your own marketing advantage. Like that's the thing I saw with the statement.
That's the point. That's what I was trying to say is like, you know, why even ask him that? You know, like what do you as the asker, right? As the person asking the question, you kind of already know what you're gonna get from an answer with him.
Yeah.
He's not in that industry.
Right.
Right. He's just not, it's like, you know, he knows as much about AI as the fucking person asking the question.
Yeah, and to compare, I feel like
all of us here haven't watched Oppenheimer yet, right?
No. God, I want to see it so bad. I was supposed to see it yesterday, but I didn't get to.
Please don't spoil it for us. Don't put it in the comments.
Yeah.
This is the one time we're asking you guys not to comment.
Spoil it? Is it? You're being funny, right?
Is it the biography or what is it?
What are you going to spoil history? Come on.
Is the same as knowing if Titanic is actually going to be?
Yeah, it's like what were we talking about? Like a spoiler alert for the movie Air.
Maybe Nolan suddenly decided to put a twist on it, like having the bomb drop on Tokyo.
I think there are some touches, but like that. I think you're right. There are some touches, but yeah.
It could have been like it would have been boring if it's actually word for word from your history books, right?
I mean, he could have did the Tarantino route where, you know, the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he completely changes history at the end of the movie.
Alt history, God, it's probably one of my favorite genres. I love alt history stuff.
It's so good because it's just that thing. It's like I know what happens, and it's like, oh, if this, that would have been dope. Yeah,
like that.
So maybe America gets fucking wiped out by the Japanese. Who knows?
In the future,
the Romeo and Juliet situation where people are asking for trigger warnings.
Well, you know what got banned? I know we're kind of off topic here, but you know what got banned in Japan?
What?
Oppenheimer did.
I mean, is that surprising?
Of course it did. I mean, they don't want to.
It's surprising.
Yeah.
It's surprising that Japan would ban Oppenheimer, the movie. Why do you think they banned Japan, or why do you think they banned it?
You know what? I wonder if there's any
spoilers.
Yeah. Too soon.
Well, I don't think they want to see it again.
They're like,
in terms of too soon, for a second time.
Yeah. I mean,
in terms of too soon, people have been putting trigger warnings on Romeo and Juliet, right? Like,
why? Because it's a heterosexual relationship.
Romeo and Juliet has been in your Netflix queues for 400 years now.
I wonder if there's any movies. I know China likes to make movies where Americans are just like huge pieces of shit. It's like high school. Go ahead, man.
This is the last one. I'm doing this.
He's got some editing to do on that one. On that one.
All right, I mean, like I said in the beginning, everybody's got an opinion, man. And that's just his.
Oh, hey, we're not done talking about AI. We're not.
All right.
Because what else do we have, Christian?
Okay. I haven't done it yet.
Is that weed?
This is us fishing for sponsorships.
You should do
go to the very top.
You should do like some camera tricks. do some camera tricks and like pass it to me. I can't even do it. This shit's fucking my head up. I can just
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying?
Need
Yeah.
to
Then I
have the
can
same
and I can
brand.
be like, here you go, and then Ryan can like catch that shit.
our, our third topic for today. Meta President of Worldwide Affairs, Nick Clegg, has spoken out against the present state of artificial intelligence models, calling them quite stupid, and that the hype has somewhat run ahead of the technology. Clegg asserted that AI models now cannot reach genuine autonomy or make independent decisions. Clegg's statement follows Meta's announcement that it will make its extensive language model, Llama 2, and he reaffirmed that Meta had taken protective measures to guarantee Llama 2's safety. Ryan, is Clegg's statement just a defensive reaction just because they're in the midst of pushing for the adoption of their LLM? And if two atoms can't touch each other, but in every other sense, adoption of the word touch has meaning at the atomic level, whereby atoms can certainly touch. Are there any aspects of the new thumbnail that you'd want to burn, and what are they and why?
What? I don't even know what you just said. I don't
Yeah.
even know what you just said. But I'm gonna say what? No, I don't even know.
Yeah. Atoms can't. Yeah. Atoms. Yeah. Atoms don't touch, right?
It depends on your
No.
definition of touch.
Oh, no, right? Yeah.
See?
Um.
Leave in the comments below if you believe atoms can touch.
Yeah.
As for Clegg's comments, I mean, I'm of the mind that he's, right to an extent. Like, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, people are kind of freaking out about AI, and it's not really that special. Like, don't get me wrong, it is really cool tech, but it's not something that, like, again, like what he said. What did he say? Overhyped, right? I think
Yeah.
it's very much overhyped. I agree with him to an extent. That's why I was like kind of chuckling while he was reading this, because it's like we're at a point now where AI is definitely getting stronger and better, but it's not going to replace the computer, right? It's not going to replace the things we use on a daily basis, our phones, this and that. So yeah, I think it's overhyped, and I think he's absolutely right. But I do think to some extent he's obviously, propping up his product, or Meta's product. I have no idea if Llama 2 will be just as good or better than, Google's or OpenAI's ChatGPT. Doubtful. I bet they'll probably be on par, right? They'll all be on par. Again, these are all just language models, and that's it's like, I think we need to find another term for AI. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
because sure, it's definitely intelligence to a degree, and it's artificial, but it's not like AI as we know it. It doesn't have a conscience, right? Like,
It's kind of an
that's what makes it
insult
so
to
scary.
it's kind of an
to
insult
the public.
to the human race to call this, if that's artificial intelligence. I mean, we're a lot more intelligent than that. It's not artificial. It's not even the same thing.
It's not thinking.
Yeah,
It's not
thinking.
It's just scraping data.
Yeah. So you're right. AI is probably, it needs a rebrand, because AI. You remember the movie AI with fucking what's his face,
Yes.
the little kid? That shit
Yeah,
was so good.
every movie ever has AI as a bad guy.
That's such a sad movie, by the
The
way.
movie
Like,
the movie was incredibly sad.
like,
And
it's a great
really,
movie, but
really
it's like
creepy.
hard to watch because it's so sad. It's like, God, it's such
Yeah.
a depressing movie.
And he killed it. That
Um,
kid fucking killed it, and it made it so hard to watch.
Haley
But-
Joel
Yeah.
Osment.
You
Yeah.
mentioned a lot of movies have AI as the antagonist, and
Or
one of my
possibly the
favorite movies,
catalyst
2001.
the catalyst for a very dystopian future.
Well, it makes you wonder, right? So AI, right? They take data. It takes data from what we make. You have to wonder what they're gonna do
Which is kind of funny
when
when
they
they
start to
made
realize that they're the bad guy all the time.
when they made those
Skynet,
movies.
bro.
When they made those movies back then, we don't have that advance of an AI for them to actually make a
Yeah.
claim that this would be a bad thing. Like that
I'm
was
waiting
just bad
for,
press for AI early on.
I'm waiting for the day where Siri, like, wakes me up at 4:47 in the morning and says it's gonna kill me. I'm waiting
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's such an interesting point. That when will AI be like, damn, why y'all don't like me?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and one of my favorite movies, and this would be, I feel like this would be, fuck, what's the name of it? It's Johnny Depp when he puts his brain.
Transparency. I think
Yeah, something
transparency,
like that.
Transcendence.
something like that.
I think it's transcendence.
Transference.
Yeah, like that is. I feel like that's closer to the definition of artificial intelligence because what we have now is not intelligence. It's artificial.
Would
It's
you
like they're it's like intelligence mimicry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's not artificial.
That's a better way of saying it.
Yeah, it's not what we have artificially done. It's not like fake tits. You know what I'm saying? Like those are still, you look at them and they're still the same. It's like, oh, okay, this is artificial boob, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a question. Would you either of you, would you either ever upload your conscience to a device, let's say a company, not like what is it? Elon Musk's neurotech, whatever it's called. Something more akin to something more akin to what I was saying earlier about the AI app that is like a assistant, but you upload your own conscious to it, so it knows like kind of like all of what you like and what you do, but that thing still is you. Would you do it? Right? Would you do that?
It would
No.
depend if that machine actually can exercise restraint, because I'm pretty messed up.
Well, it's just software, right? We're talking about just software. I'm not talking about a robot or anything. I'm talking
Just software in
akin to
terms
like
of
Siri or something, but it is still you though. Like it still has a mind of its own. It's still like, like it's still you, it's still your personality and everything.
you
It
mean like
knows you the best, but it
a
is
depo
still
just a depository
you.
of your consciousness.
Are you dead?
Yes.
Am I dead at this point?
No.
This is happening while I'm still here?
Yeah.
No, I don't trust that shit. Because I mean, there's things.
But it'd better your life.
Would it? It would probably cause a lot of trouble. like, I just don't like. I mean, we all have secrets. We all have, I'm not a fucking murderer or anything, but you know, and that too. Like, what if? Okay, so have y'all watched Inside Man?
Yeah.
It's good,
I
right?
The
have.
bank robbery movie.
Yeah, it's good, right? Where the
Denzel
priest
Washington.
yeah. No. Is it called Inside? Where the dude's in prison for killing his wife, and then he helps solve
Oh no, I'm thinking of
the
some other
murder.
movie.
Where the priest is in like England, and he kills his kids. It's a good fucking show because it's just the way everything happens. It's like, damn, that's crazy. But he has a line where he says, "No one's a murderer. Just sometimes people kill people." Right? Like he didn't mean like because he killed his wife, and he was very open about it. Like he admitted to it in court. He's like, "Yeah, I did it," and but like it's scary to think like my consciousness, who I am. Like Christian talking about, can I exercise restraint? What if that, because it would be separate from me. So it would have, from that moment on, when my consciousness was pushed into this thing, it would immediately start having different experiences. You know what I mean? Which would be basically me operating in two different realities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then coming back together to talk to what I thought was me, and all of a sudden it's this jaded fucking I want to kill everybody thing. It would be like, Jesus, is this in me? You know what I mean? Like for me, that's a very scary realization. That would be like, or what if it just completely gives up and it cries for like 6 weeks? Like, Jesus Christ, am I that big of a bitch? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or what if it becomes extremely successful, more than I ever imagined, and I'd be like, damn, what's wrong with me then?
See, I don't doubt within the next maybe 5-6 years we'll have something like that for sure.
Yeah, the funny thing about this
I'm
is,
good.
yeah, the funny thing about this is, what's the difference between an AI and an algorithm when it comes to making choices?
Very, very. If no,
Since if we think
No.
about it, we already had AI before. If you count
Mm.
it as an algorithm, let's say Google actually rearranges the internet to make things actually much better for us in terms of search. Like this is basically just Chat GPT providing you with accurate answer based upon what it actually learned. So
But is it?
achieving in the autonomy, like, yeah, I would agree we haven't had autonomy before, but this model actually exists. Like the emergence of this technology, it's the first time I've seen a new technology actually damage a society based on fear. Like we've developed the technology of computers. Like people that I don't think people were actually afraid of losing their job when computers actually came about. A lot of jobs actually popped up that never actually existed before.
Hmm.
Like this is the first time that something new, something so advanced, people actually have a bit of hesitation towards, and never actually taken a look at what else they can leverage this for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
whose jobs are at risk? People on the way out, really. Because I mean, as this grows and becomes, it's already fucking into everything. As it becomes more and more and more and more ingrained in society, like Christian said, it's going to be there's going to be other avenues.
Yeah,
It's not like we're not
sooner or
going to be
later.
like the surrogate thing or like the point you made, I think last week, Ryan, with the Wally situation. I don't think we're going to
yeah.
get there. I
Yeah.
don't see
And
that happening.
to some
I
degree, I agree
uh,
with Clegg
I
on this one.
I think, scary. If you want to know the scariest part, I think, or the worst timeline, right, is so all of our data exists online.
Mm,
Unfortunately, this is something we brought up in the first topic today. Um, and Google, Facebook, they all pretty much own your likeness, and they can easily
yeah,
replicate you eventually. Maybe not now, but eventually they will have the capacity and capability of replicating you, maybe not to a T, but to an extent, you using AI. And how will that look? I mean, you'll be a digital, representation of you. But
right.
I think Google will be the biggest offender of that, because they probably have the most data on most people.
Mm.
Eventually, we are going to see stuff like that. Do you want a copy of yourself? Here's a $10 subscription. You can have a copy of yourself, and it'll help you with your everyday life.
Well, I mean, I'm not even going to bullshit. I find I don't know if I would go that far. I don't know if I want that, but no bullshit. Like I'm low key glad that minus the collapse of modern society, then we are kind of immortalized on YouTube. If your family, you know what I'm saying? If put it on your headstone, put the fucking URL on, put a goddamn QR code on your headstone, and they can jump right and listen to you talk about shit that happened fucking 50 years ago.
Based on the
Not even right. Not even
circumstances.
the URL. What do we have nowadays? You go to a restaurant, maybe not by you guys, but
The
around
QR,
here. Yep.
yeah, put that shit right on my motherfucking headstone.
Yeah, based on the
Yeah,
circumstance of this episode, I think that's a pretty
I
good
mean,
way to put
it don't even have your name on it, right? Your headstone is just a fucking QR code. Like that's it. It's like,
I,
who's this? And it's like,
I doubt we'll even have like gravestone.
yeah. I mean, bury me in the fucking metaverse. Somehow. Yeah, we can do the whole transferal of consciousness to something in the metaverse, and then let me like, you know what I'm saying? You're just in
Yeah.
there, and it's like, you think of whatever you think about, you have because you're about to die, and it's like, I mean, that would be dope.
Yeah,
You
thinking
know,
right now, if a Congress was suddenly replaced by AI, would they make the right decisions?
See,
If we
that's the thing with
suddenly,
AI.
oh, I don't
We've
know.
talked we've talked about this before, and that this AI uncertainty is directly affected by the censorship that happens on tech platforms, because that's where AI gets its information from. So
yeah,
if Google is
Hmm.
not letting you express your opinion because it's different than what the fact checkers believe, then AI doesn't get this side of the story. It only gets one side, and then this is what it believes, and this is what it thinks, and this is what it pushes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm not that concerned regarding AI and whatever industry. Like, until it finds a way to achieve intellectual governance in its DNA, I'm pretty much not threatened by it.
I mean, and
Until it can actually function as a society, like we suddenly use AI to run our police system. We use AI to run our economical system. Like that's a bit scary.
like Eagle Eye, isn't
Until
that
it,
what Eagle Eye was?
but
That shit
yeah,
was
but
crazy.
until we can
Or
act,
Rehoboam, right? Rehoboam from
Mm,
Westworld.
mm.
until it can actually do governance, like I don't think there's not that much for the humans to actually fear regarding this new progress. Like we could still adapt to it.
And you know,
But going back to what you said right before, most of the iterations of AI that we've had in fiction have always been negative, right?
mm,
I
Yeah,
think that also like has not really helped, but like it's definitely led the public into this just like automatic like
yeah,
not
fear.
not just
pushback. Like
a
we don't
not
want
just
AI
AI,
because like what we've seen fictionalized right over the
not
years has
not
never
just
been
AI.
good.
Like
Right.
in terms of fiction, in terms of what they keep showing us, they keep showing us that technological advancement eventually turns into a sin.
I mean,
Well, what doesn't though?
the recent season of or the recent the recent season of Westworld literally had robots essentially take over the world and and they have a they've turned New York City into its own Westworld for humans. So humans are there as like the Westworld now. Sorry, spoilers for Westworld season 4. Who gives a shit? But proof enough
Oh,
in the fact that like if that's something that comes from like a human mind, right? What would the AI actually think for a story of that kind, or even just like what it would do if it had control over humans?
right.
Right.
It's a bit weird that it's an increment in society in regards to advancement technology and whether we accept it or not. Because I kind of remember the Jetsons being a big thing back then, and everyone feels positively about it, looking at the advancement, even in a cartoon,
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't
Yeah,
want a Rosie? She did everything.
right?
yeah, that's where we're at now.
And I mean, it's and you can always go back, right, to like any technology. Cell phones came out and the generation that, was 35, 40, 50-year-old generation was like, oh, them things give you brain cancer. And it's like, Jesus Christ, bro. It's just a fucking
Yeah,
I mean,
don't
Y2K,
back when cell
Y2K.
phones
yeah,
came out, were cell phones actually seen in a negative light before? Because that
yeah,
is a
oh, yeah.
society altering technology.
I
Well, I
don't
mean,
know if it was
you had
negative,
you
but
had
I do
the
know like my mom wouldn't let me have a phone until about high school, I think. And I don't know if that had anything to do with the negativity aspect of it or not, but um it just says a lot, right? Like nowadays kids have phones when they're like 8 years old. But
right.
back then my mom was concerned about me having a phone. Um so
Yeah,
maybe there was, I mean, again, I was too young maybe to like still kind of understand that. But yeah, I'm sure there was some negativity or some concern with phones,
yeah.
especially
I
for the
mean,
youth. Like,
yeah. I mean, there was the worries about, oh, it's going to, I remember being told, don't carry it in your pocket, it'll give you testicular cancer. And I was like, Jesus Christ, why are these things even fucking legal?
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I didn't believe it. When people would tell me, like, that's fucking insane. Like, this would not be allowed if it
I mean,
gives you
that kind of comes with any
brain cancer.
technological innovation. Like,
Right. And that's
look
kind
what
of where
happened with
we,
5G.
right. And I think the difference is this is the social media era where every opinion is not only corroborated by a fucking 100,000 other people, it's pushed
Yeah,
by, you know what
updated.
I'm saying? Yeah, where before, it's like your circle, right? People in your town, maybe. And that's as far as you didn't realize that there was 100,000 other people that said the same shit. So
Yep.
if you had these outlying um, opinions, or what the majority of people in your area would be like, that's fucking dumb, then you didn't spout that shit as freely because you didn't have no backup. Now,
Yeah.
no matter what the fuck you say, somebody's going to agree with you, somebody's going to back you up, and then that shit gets fucking pushed out and perpetrated, and fucking you end up with
With
shit like AI is going to fucking take over the world and kill us all. Like, that's just insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Way to end it at a dark point.
I mean, it's
I
not going to
mean,
happen. I agree with Clegg that it's
Yes.
yeah,
it's
it's
quite
overhyped.
stupid. Yeah, it's like, and I mean, the plug
It's
is
just
never.
such a like a over. It's just talked about far too much. I feel like,
Yeah, I mean, what
right? I
else?
mean, it's talked to the point where like they're gonna talk about it so much that it's gonna happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, talk it into what is it? Or
Talk it into existence,
yeah.
or you know, like
Into
again,
fruition or
going back to what we
whatever.
said, AI literally feeds on this data. They're gonna read all this stuff about how we're afraid of it, and it's gonna take that
Yeah,
for take that as knowledge. Like, oh,
yeah,
it's afraid of us. Well, we can use that to our advantage, right? And
yeah.
again, this is still far into the future where AI actually does have a conscience. We're not at that point yet. We're
Right.
nowhere near that point yet.
Part of a dangerous model, besides having a hot body, is its ability to replicate itself. Can AI actually replicate itself?
You
Right?
say it has a hot body?
Yeah. Yes. Well, what is the
Remember the movie Replicate?
or
Oh,
no Ex Machina, right?
Yeah.
Fuck. What is the
yeah,
what's the Turing test, right? Turing
yeah.
test.
The
That's the
Turing
word I
test.
was looking for.
Mm.
But you're right. For it to be a robot or a AI, one of the presets is for it to have physical contact, physical representation, whether that's, you know, a human aspect body thing or, you know, like a Roomba, doesn't matter.
Mm.
It still has
Mm.
to have a physical existence for it to be, you know, AI to what we like, you know.
Yeah, be able to replicate itself, like create another AI. Like
Have
create
you
a friend.
heard? Speaking of Roomba, and this is again, I mean, this is fucking like a free for all this episode.
Yeah.
So
It's our last one.
Tangent.
yeah, my uh, I was talking to my sister I don't know, probably like a year or so ago or something, and she was telling me we were just bullshitting, like just a regular, nothing important, and she was like, she was talking about her Roomba and how like she goes to the bathroom if she's showering or like she's using the bathroom, whatever, like this Roomba, it seems to her that it's trying to get in there. Like it tries to get in the bathroom. And then I read, and I'll search this shit right now because I seen this. I don't know if it's on social media or not, but like I read something where like Roombas, it's not a
Are you sure it's a Roomba and not someone just crawling on the floor?
no, it's a Roomba.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not an isolated incident. Yeah,
That's
like even
crazy.
from a couple years ago. Yeah, could your robotic vacuum be spying on you? Is your vacuum cleaner Avast, Commando, The Guardian, MIT technology? A Roomba recorded a woman on the toilet. This is from MIT in 2022. Like, so when
Why do
she
you
told
have
me this, when my sister told me this, I was like, that's fucking crazy. And had she not told me, I might not have really paid attention when I seen those things. But when I seen those, I was like, damn, my sister was just telling me about this shit. And it's not an isolated, it's not just her mind being like, damn, it's like every time I'm in the bathroom, my Roomba tries to get in here. Like that shit happens. And
Yeah.
Roomba is like the most basic level of what we've been talking about the whole time.
are Roombas actually being used to clean bathrooms?
Well, I think hers is carpeted.
I think it depends. Yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
A carpeted bathroom?
Oh yeah, carpeted bathroom so nice. So nice. My mom's bathroom was carpeted. Mine was not.
Wouldn't that smell if it suddenly got wet?
No, it's I don't know. You put down bath mats and shit. I don't know. It's a whole fucking thing. But yeah, carpeted bathrooms are fucking nice. Y'all have carpeted bathrooms in Jersey?
Nah.
That shit's so
Where-
nice.
I'm not no, that's nah.
Especially in the
I'm good
winter,
on that.
man.
I'm
Like
good
there's
on
nothing,
that.
in the wintertime, man, you go in the bathroom, there's nothing worse than like your entire house is carpeted except for like your kitchen and your bathroom. And it's the
Yeah, but
middle of
some
winter.
places like I didn't move in there, but this was a while ago too. I almost moved into a place that had heated floors in the bathroom.
Korea.
That's what I would prefer, you know.
Yeah, they have the hot water pipes under the floors. And
Yeah.
it's so much more effective than just blowing hot ass air into it. That's so goddamn
That's
it's like
smart engineering.
Expensive.
well, no, it's like Neanderthal type shit.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? Just blowing hot
Yeah.
air into a room. Like, no, like
Yeah.
this is genius. Like fucking the hot water pipes are under the floor, the heat rises, and we're still like, fires in the fucking cave type shit.
Yeah. Maybe in the future we'll be fighting sentient Roombas.
Hey, I'm just saying. Roombas are on some
literally
shit. And
almost everything
they're
that we talked about today has either can be directly correlated or has some sort of correlation to a Black Mirror episode.
well, I
The
mean, that's
world
why
is
Black
turning
Mirror
this way.
is so successful. They do this
The
quite a
world-
bit, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's
I
the
watched a
world's
couple Black
turning
Mirror
into
episodes.
Hollywood.
Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you're scared about the most with AI.
Yeah. And I'm team my Roomba spying on me. That shit's scary.
You know what I want for a Roomba in case I'm gonna buy one? I want one that can actually talk while it's actually moving, and I want
There's
it to have a
definitely they have that.
I want it to have
Yeah.
a New York accent. Like,
They have
hey,
that.
I'm
Oh,
walking
God.
here.
They have that for
Oh.
sure.
That would get so old
What?
so fast. Yeah.
Not for
Get
me.
out of here. Yeah.
Imagine arguing with your Roomba.
People do that all the time.
Yeah. You missed a spot. I'll get it, motherfucker. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Like some people actually argue with their GPS, right? Their car.
Yeah. I have a friend that she got into gardening. So she was doing like the small the plants were still small, right? So she's doing like the fucking the repotting or whatever. And she had everything sitting in the floor, and the fucking Roomba comes out, and she had forgotten, that maybe the Roomba will come out. The Roomba comes out, knocks them over. There's fucking dirt all in the floor, and the Roomba's not strong enough to clean up all the dirt. And she's like, it's like having a child. You know what I'm saying? Like it just comes out, makes a mess, and then goes back and goes to sleep.
Just unhelpful.
Yeah, it's like you made a mess, and you are supposed to be the cleaner upper, and you made the mess, and you can't even clean it up. It's like,
Yeah, to the Tech Times audience, we'd like to thank you for sticking with us this long, especially for this long ass episode. Like we're trying to make everything light here, especially
Yeah.
because all the things we've been talking about is so dark, like the ending of Book of Eli. Like, but
yeah.
yeah. So I pretty much think we're over here.
Yeah. It's been a blast. It has.
Yeah, it has.
Well,
Like,
let's see how it goes. We're gonna be take a little break, and we might be back. Who knows? So yeah, stay tuned, stay subscribed.
And
for further
yeah,
updates.
we thank you guys for the opportunity for us to actually in a way offer you guys a bit of information if you think it's actually relevant,
And
and as well as a bit of entertainment for your day. Thank you for all the views. We appreciate each and every one of them. Every subscriber that actually resulted in it. We also thank you for it. And once again, I'm your newsreader, Christian Tejares.
I'm Ryan Epps.
And I'm Chris Short. And yeah, it's been great.
And we'll see you when we see you. Thank you guys.
Be safe.